So I guess you could say this film was fantastic. Good. It was good. And I think that's alright. I don't think this film had to be a masterpiece or anything. I think it just had to be good. And it is. I feel like Marvel definitely had a lot riding on this film. They've been releasing nothing but mediocre or downright dog shit till Thunderbolts, which, in my opinion, was also kind of mid. So they really needed to turn things around with this film. With Doom being the main villain of the next Avengers, Fantastic Four were obviously going to play a massive role in Doomsday, so them nailing this was going to be really important. Most people's only experience with the Four was those shitty movies back in the early 2000s and the other one.
Say that again?
So making the Four cool and likable was going to be massively important, and I really do feel like they pulled that off. The Four have really great chemistry. They really do feel like a family and not just like friends or co-workers like the Avengers. They have plenty of banter and bickering, but also clearly have a lot of care and affection for each other. Each member has a fundamentally different relationship with each other member, and seeing those dynamics explored is what I think sets the Four apart from the other teams in Marvel. There's a focus on the Four helping each other grow as people and overcome these kinds of internal struggles that each one has, which I think is what makes them feel like a family. They also do a great job of giving each character something to do on a plot level. It never feels like any one member didn't need to be there or contributes less than any other. And this aspect of the film was what I think was most important for Marvel to nail down. And it shows. The best parts of this movie are when you see the Four bouncing off of each other, bantering, and then also those more tender moments when they help each other grow and overcome. Where the Four work less well is as individuals. Johnny and Ben in particular struggle here. Ben's character arc doesn't really impact the plot, and if we were to cut his individual story out, nothing really changes on a grander level. And Johnny has the opposite problem where his story is massively important to the plot, but he's a pretty static character and ends the movie pretty much the same person as he starts. I feel like Reed and Sue's personal arcs being deeply intertwined with the main plot definitely saved them in this regard, but that still leaves like half the team feeling undercooked. The performances are still really good though. I feel like the whole cast has a lot of great chemistry with each other, and they each give their own character these little mannerisms that really sell you on who they are. I like how Pedro Pascal gives Reed this kind of like nerdy accent and really makes him feel like a wallflower type. He definitely feels like the smartest man alive, but very unwise and unsure of himself. Eben Moss Batrack gives Ben a lot of like chill unk energy in a good way, while also being able to communicate his insecurities around his appearance through just his voice acting, paired with the excellent CGI for the thing. Joseph Quinn as Johnny manages to ride that fine line between funny wit and annoying dickhead very well, and the banter he has with Ben was definitely a highlight for the film. It is probably the most entertaining relationship to watch throughout the film. And Vanessa Kirby brings a lot of calm, cool, and collected charisma to Sue, which plays really well into the face of the party-esque character that Sue is in this film. This movie also looks amazing. The movie set in this futuristic 60s-esque world, and it fully capitalizes on that aesthetic. It has plenty of soft colors contrasted with these grays and whites, which pair excellently with the round shapes of all the technology and architecture of this world. The people also dress and act like it's the 60s, and the whole world just feels like it was pulled out of an old-timey comic book. This also has a clear influence on like the minor Earthbound villains that are shown to have been defeated by the Four. They all have like these simplistic kind of plots and theatrical vibe that really makes it feel like they're out of one of those old original 60s-esque comic books. And that makes a great contrast with Galactus. Him and his ship have a lot of dark coloring and sharp shapes, which it makes him feel kind of otherworldly compared to everything the Four have already faced. And his plan is much higher stakes in comparison to anything the Four have faced before, which gives him a lot of like menace. And he's also treated by the film as more of like a force of nature or something that's just unstoppable, can't really be negotiated with. And this contrasts great with the other villains that we have seen them defeat on Earth, because he really makes them Four feel like they are out of their depth in this situation. And the effects are also great. Each of the Four's powers look amazing. Ben has a lot of weight and heft to him and never feels like he's just like a CGI kind of monster out of place. And while I feel like Reed doesn't stretch as much as I'd like, I do like that they managed to make the stretching not look unnatural or goofy. I feel like they managed to make it look very good. And I really like the flame effects on Johnny, but I do feel like his body in particular, like his skin and stuff, when he's fully on fire, looks a little odd. It kind of looks like they just put like a red Instagram filter on him. It doesn't quite look as good as I'd like that to be. But Sue was the definite standout for me. Whenever she uses her force field or invisibility, it's indicated with these kind of bluish rainbow shimmers that I think just look fucking amazing. I think it's so lazy to just make force fields like these blue energy balls. I think that's just really unoriginal. I feel like this take on force fields and invisibility is definitely a breath of fresh air. And onto the Silver Surfer, well, I do feel like the CGI on her skin does look a little odd, and like maybe it could have spent a little bit more time in the oven. I do think her powers look really cool. Her phasing looks excellent, and I like that they make her feel like just this unstoppable force. She's almost like Mjolnir in that she just travels so fast and hits so hard. And this power set leads to an incredible chase sequence filled with so much tension while showing the audience just the raw power of the surfer. And this chase sequence also led to one of the most stunning scenes, some of the most incredible shots that just really flex the film's CGI. And that's another strength this film has. It's shot pretty well. This definitely feels like a cut above the standard Marvel cinematography. Standouts for me were these montages that the film has that it uses to fill us in on the Thor's backstory and later to denote major time jumps in the film. And while in another film these might just feel like lazy expedition jumps, I feel like this movie manages to present them with so much style and creativity that they definitely feel a cut above that. These montages take full advantage of the 60s aesthetic, and while providing enough engaging action and visuals to keep the viewer invested in what's going on and to not just have their eyes glaze over as they're fed what the exposition is and what happens in between time jumps. And the soundtrack goes hand in hand with the visuals. It has a very World of Tomorrow vibe with a lot of wonder and whimsy, which I love to see for something like the Fantastic Four. The tracks are just, ironically, so fantastical and really helps set the tone and vibe of the film. This paired with the visuals really helps immerse you into the setting and also really helps Galactus feel that much more alien and unnerving when you hear that switch up. There's just not that much wrong with this film, but I do feel like that does kind of lead to this film's biggest setback. This film plays it very safe for the most part, and while that isn't really a problem when it comes to the visuals or the music, since those are just so outstanding, I do feel like that does make the narrative feel kind of meh. When you take into account that a lot of scenes from the trailers were cut out, a bunch of things make sense. Johnny not really having a character arc, Ben's character arc not really affecting the plot, the need at all to have montages, even though they were executed well, just having them needed kind of shows that there was some stuff cut. I definitely suspect that cut content would smooth some of these things over, while also potentially alienating some of the audience. And I feel like that's pretty unfortunate since I would have really liked more from this film, narratively speaking. I think taking some leaps and some jumps that might alienate some people would have probably made this film take it up a few notches. It just always feels like this film is one or two steps away from being fantastic. Between the great visuals, the great music, the great chemistry between the cast, but just some lackluster character work that I really think was just a few steps away from being great, I have to give Fantastic Four: First Steps a solid 8 out of 10.